All right, first ever mix breakdown. Let's see how this goes. All right, song is called Melange by Kinda Mad. This band is awesome. Here we go. All right, the song is freaking awesome. There's a lot of ways that I could go about showing and doing this whole thing. Most mix engineers go through every track and every plugin and processing per bus and track and everything and all the effects. If I did that for this song, we'd be here literally for like 3 hours. And that's not that cool. At least most people wouldn't appreciate that. So what we're going to go through here is all the cool stuff, all the magic, because there is none, but there is a lot. Okay, so first thing, Melange, also called the spice, is a super duper important substance in the Dune universe. It basically comes from the desert planet Arrakis. It's this rare cinnamon-like substance and spice that everybody is after. But why is it so important? Well, it's crucial because it makes space travel possible. It lets pilots navigate through space safely, and it also has all these crazy side effects like enhancing your lifespan and giving you some crazy abilities. Basically, it's the most valuable thing in the whole Dune world and universe. In this mix, my job is to bring the listener into the world of Dune by creating these otherworldly sounds and textures throughout the song and making things feel sci-fi and bigger than what the instruments are normally. All right, okay, so now we know what the intent of the song is, which obviously is to create this huge masterpiece to fit in the science fiction world, Dune. Okay, so to get there, let's start with the rough mix. This is the second song I'd mixed for this band. The first one, for me, all of the first songs I mix for a new artist or producer or band is always a figuring out what the good is. My good is usually fat low end, really vast, expansive sounds, and otherworldly, kind of pretty compressed, very upfront, in your face drums and vocals, and which that's not always good for what the song calls for. In this case, this song does call for it, so thankfully the band trusted me. This is the second song I'd mixed for them, so I'd already created that rapport with them, and they just told me on this one, just go for it, do your thing. So I did my thing. Okay, so the funny thing is usually I'll take the rough mix before I do any mixing, use that rough mix as a good guideline to go where I must with it, with the balance, and then take it farther, take their vision of what the rough mix is telling me even farther. In this case, it was kind of the opposite. I didn't hear the rough mix. I didn't even get a rough mix. I didn't ask for one until I finished, and I got to the very end, and I thought, did I take this too far? Maybe I did. Hey, Colton, could you send me a rough mix? So he sent me his, what he called the production balance, and I renamed it rough, because a rough is just usually where the band finishes with it, and then they hand it off to the producer or to the mixer, which is me, mixer guy, to then take the vision further. So this is what I got after I finished to then inform me, am I going in the right direction? And again, I got this after I finished this mix, and I got this before I sent them anything, because I wanted to make sure that what I sent them, they would be amped about, and not kind of bummed out like, oh, he took this in the wrong direction. So here we go. Here's the rough. All right. It's freaking awesome. And thankfully, after I heard my mix and then listened back to the rough, I was like, okay, I'm going to gamble here and send them what I have. And thankfully, from mix one, it was pretty close. There's a few things, a few adjustments here and there that they wanted me to make to what I did, but thankfully, it wasn't massive. So, for me, the biggest thing we're going to touch on and talk about and go through in this mix is this little thing I call phase, this thing I call editing, which is little, but also major. So the biggest thing I heard when it came to the rough, which again, it wasn't meant to be a finished thing. Colton wasn't mixing this thinking, oh, I'm going to show David what's up. This is going to make him feel bad about himself. No, he was mixing this as a, hey, if you're wondering about the balance of the guitars in the bridge or of the vocal in the verse or of the background vocals, etc., here's the balance. So I kept that balance. I made sure to match that before I sent them the song. But the biggest thing I heard that was missing from the rough that I wanted to take and overexcite and create this bigger, otherworldly, explosive science fiction version of the rough would be making things punch and poke out and become up close and kind of creepy and explosive and huge. So let's A-B the rough to the final mix. Here we go. Actually, let's go even before that because there's something that I added that was kind of crazy. Here we go. We'll do mine first and then rough. If you see this S back and forth, this is the rough, this is mine.
In the sand and chaining the free.
All right, you get it. It's very different. It's very different. But again, phase, editing, all these things. It sounds kind of silly and simple to me say that the biggest thing I did in this project is phase and editing. But if you see here on all these regions, all these clips, you'll see this weird word phase print. I mixed this track in 2014, early 2014, so about a year and a half ago, a year and 8 months ago or so. And back then, I began this new process where I would use auto-align to print drums, print multi-sourced, multi-mic'd guitars, print the phase of those things so that the speaker would push forward and not pull out and not fight against itself. Basically, if you know what phase is, it's just that. It's making sure that multi-mic'd sources or multi-channeled instruments, all those channels are working together to achieve a forward, punchier thing. So before I even jump into the channels here, let's actually go to some tracks here. So I've got printing phase 1 and 2. So let's just listen and see which one we can tell is in phase and which one we can tell is out of phase. Okay, I don't know if this is translating to Instagram and YouTube and Facebook. Obviously, the first track is in phase. The second track is out of phase. The first track has all this extra low end. Again, there is no EQ, there's no compression, nothing on that track. It's just 4 sources of DI and 3 mics on a guitar. And one of them, with those 4 sources, they are fighting against each other. So it's out of phase, and one is in phase. Essentially, before I mixed any of this, before I added in compression, weird routing, bussing, EQ, samples, any of that, before I did any of that, I printed the phase of everything so that the guitars, the drums, the bass, all those things that are all those things that are multi-sourced or multi-channeled single source instruments would work together, and I wouldn't have to add more EQ or over-compress or overdo it before it even speaks in the way that I need it to by itself, so that it can speak in that way within the whole track and cut through. So phase is a huge one. I did that for all these channels. I took a good probably 3 hours just to get everything all edited and phase aligned. And then from there, second biggest thing, boom, would definitely be samples. So let's just go through and again listen to the rough versus the finished track and just focus your ears in on the drums, okay? The drums. Okay, so they sound huge. A big way of achieving that, like bigness and hugeness, is over compression, is saturation, is in some places distortion and clipping. But I can't do that if I have really, really bloody and very unedited, not very well tracked drums. And in this case, these drums were tracked fantastic. But I blended in a lot of samples, which were actually the printed samples from the same session. Again, like I said earlier, this is the second song I'd mixed for this band. First one, I was there for the drum tracking, and I told them, for every song you send me, please, at the very end of the session, just hit each drum a few times and kick, so that I can get a perfect version of that and blend that in with the mics. So let's actually just listen here with no plugins on these drums and with all of the plugins on these drums. Look at that. We're clipping +6 on the drum bus. Now let's turn on all of the plugins and look at that meter and listen. Ready? Boom. We're not clipping. Well, we're clipping, but we're not over 0, and they sound so much bigger. Again, back to this thing about editing. Just look at these tracks. I've cut out all of the excess on these toms. I've muted a lot of these mics that I don't need them or want them in certain places, except on these extra tracks I called fill extra. I have muted all of the rides and the hi-hats where they're not being placed and played. I've muted the stacks where it's not being played. So yeah, this idea of editing out the parts that are not being used can help create more headroom so that what is important is shining through. So there we go, drums. Let's just listen to this bass part. I love this bass sound. So if you look here on the actual tracks, there's not much happening. We've got this AKG bass mic. We've got this bass DI, which is just a Sidewinder. widener thingy. The SM57, which is just an EQ, doing just a little bit of high passing, and then we got the Solomon. But this bass bus here, if I hit solo, you see what's there. It's only all of the tracks except the bass Solomon, which is kind of like a speaker wild. So that's happening in the choruses, which I mix the song fast because you can see I didn't create an arrangement. That's called laziness and mixing fast. So yeah, let's just listen to this bass part. No low end. Here we go. Yeah. So on all these tracks, you'll see I've got 4 sources going to 1 bus. And my routing on this whole song was kind of crazy. That also plays into the editing and the session prep and the phase aligning and all those things added up into me being really happy about how fast I got to mix this song. But yeah, so all of this is just taking really good tracks, make them become more in phase so that they make the speaker move more, and then finding ways to just make it sound bigger and fit into the picture, and also find the intent and figure out what the intent of the song is. The intent of this song is to make it sound and feel like you're watching this like huge, amazing cinematic masterpiece, Dune. I think a good way to end this is to just look at the mix bus. For this song, it was just a single, and so I knew that there wouldn't be budget or time to send it off to a mastering engineer, and I didn't want to. So in this case, I've got a very extensive plug-in chain on my mix bus so that I've got a pretty loud master. So let's just walk through that whole mix.
Lace in the sand and chain in the free.
We got the Magic Death Eye, which is Varimu plugin. This is my gain control. I turned the output way down, the input way up. I hit this pretty hard with saturation, but I turned the threshold way down so that the tubes are doing a lot of that glue for me, and it's not compressing the whole mix hard. So let's just look and listen. Hit the dB. It's also been back here. Got this SSL. Oop, this SSL guy. Slow attack, fast release, that whole thing. We got master passive, doing some very subtle moves here. We got more gain moves, as you just heard there. Turning the input gain down by 11 dB to prep myself before Saturn. But this is just doing some subtle low-end shaping. This is more of the Pultec curve on the top and bottom. Well, top and bottom. Same thing on the sides, but just shifted up a little bit. Then we got Saturn on this magic mastering thing. Usually this is turned at like 30%, and in this case this song is at 100% because I wanted to like really push it hard. But because the plugin before this is turned down so much, it's not hitting that hard. Then we got my not newer, but then we got one of my favorites, the Oxford Inflator. So it feels awesome. My weird trick here. The microlimiter. Then we got the circlip. Love this thing. Barely do anything though. Some more EQ. Pushing some way top at 20K, a lot of it. Cutting some 2.5, cutting some 650. Leaving the rest of it alone. This Soothe guy. And the mastered by Goodwin, and I've affected these bands, and I brought the whole thing down a little bit. And then L2. Pretty simple. Yeah, at the loudest points, it's hitting 2.5 to 3 dB. In the last few years, I've changed a little bit about how I think about mix bus stuff. I do a lot more clipping and a lot less limiting and a lot less EQ in general. This is a very extensive mix bus because of how I used to work with it. But yeah, again, let's just go back through and just listen to the rough mix, what I was sent, and then in sections, and listen to the finished master. And let's just jam.
Stay. Shatter your world with a new reality. Trapped in a cell lined with epiphany. In your eye, drenching in red.
Yeah, freaking awesome song. Thanks again, Colton. Thanks again, Keith. And y'all's band. You guys are awesome. All of my 4 followers watching this till the end here, go check out their song. It's called Melange on Spotify, Apple Music, wherever you listen to music. And yeah, leave a comment down below for future videos, and I'm gonna keep this content rolling. Here we go, guys. Peace.